What if I told you that one man, with no army and no support, managed to bring the entire Mafia to its knees? He didn't just rob them, he took everything. $1 billion in a single night. The authorities still keep this case classified, and the clan bosses whisper his name in fear. Today, I will reveal the secret of the greatest heist in history, the one nobody talks about. Watch until the end, and you'll learn how the ghost played his game. To understand the scale of this audacity, you need to know who the family is. This isn't just a gang, it's a state within a state, with its own laws. Their main code is Omertà, the law of silence. Break it and your life isn't worth a dime. Remember the story of Joe Valachi, the first mafioso to break Omertà. $100,000 bounty was put on his head, and he lived in fear for the rest of his days, knowing he was being hunted. At the center of our story are the 5 families that held New York City in an iron grip. Their business was a shadow empire built on fear, debt, and loyalty. Casinos, drug trafficking, racketeering, streams of dirty money flowed like a river into their shared treasury, the so-called commission fund. This money was so dirty, it couldn't simply be deposited into a bank. It had to be laundered. And for that, a whole underground financial world existed. It was this world that our hero decided to strike. No one knew his face. He had no name, only a nickname, the Ghost. He was a master of disguise, a genius of planning, and a man who seemed impossible to track. He left no evidence, had no connections, and moved in the shadows as if he didn't exist. He was an urban legend, a nightmare for those who considered themselves the masters of the city. The Ghost spent years studying the system. He knew how the Mafia's money moved. He understood their psychology. They trusted only strength and feared only shame. He knew that their greatest weakness was their own belief in their invincibility. They built their defenses against the police, the FBI, and their rivals, but they never imagined that one man would dare to challenge the entire system from within, striking right at its heart. The plan was brilliant in its simplicity and audacity. There was a secret vault in the city where cash from all 5 families' operations was collected. This wasn't a bank. It was an impenetrable fortress, hidden under the guise of an abandoned warehouse in Brooklyn. It was guarded by the best soldiers, loyal to the Don to their last drop of blood. Getting in there was considered suicide, but the Ghost wasn't planning to fight his way in. He decided to use their own weapon against them: information. For several months, he fed them disinformation, turning the clans against each other. He planted anonymous tips about rats in their ranks and leaked data to their minor deals to their competitors, creating an atmosphere of total distrust. The bosses began to suspect each other of betrayal. Paranoia became their main enemy, and the Ghost skillfully conducted this orchestra of chaos. Let's recall the real story of the Castellamare War in the 1930s. 2 powerful bosses, Joe Masseria and Salvatore Maranzano, drowned New York in blood, fighting for power. This war weakened both sides and allowed a new star to rise: Lucky Luciano, who eliminated both and created the Commission to govern the Mafia. The Ghost used the same principle: let your enemies destroy themselves from the inside. On the designated night, the tension reached its peak. A fake FBI raid, which the ghost himself had arranged through anonymous tips, was launched. While the vault's security was distracted by the phony assault and internal squabbles to find the supposed traitor who led the cops there, the ghost made his move. He didn't need explosives or guns. His key was the chaos he had sown. He moved through the security system like a knife through butter. Inside the vault, a mountain of money awaited him. $1 billion in cash. This was money collected over decades, the blood, sweat, and tears of the streets, all concentrated in one place. But how do you move that kind of volume? This was the second part of his brilliant plan. He didn't call for trucks. He used a piece of city infrastructure that no one even remembered: the old abandoned pneumatic mail tubes.
In the early 20th century, New York City was crisscrossed by a network of pneumatic tubes for mail delivery. Over time, it was forgotten, but the system remained. The ghost had spent several years restoring an abandoned hub that led directly to the vault. That night, while the Mafia was fighting FBI phantoms and each other, the money, packed into special capsules, was whistling underground, ending up in dozens of different locations across the city. By morning, it was all over. The raid was a fake. The internal enemies were just a product of paranoia. But when the bosses entered their vault, a devastating blow awaited them. It was empty. No signs of a break-in, not a single shell casing, not a single clue as to who did it. $1 billion had vanished, the money that was the foundation of their power. This wasn't just a robbery, it was a humiliation, a slap in the face from which they could never recover. The Mafia went insane. They looked for the culprits everywhere. Dozens of people were executed on suspicion alone. Blood flowed in the streets, but the ghost was gone without a trace. He had disappeared along with the money, leaving only chaos and fear behind. He proved that even the most powerful empire can be brought down if you strike not at its walls, but at its mind. He turned their greatest strength, total control, into their ultimate weakness. And here is the main lesson of this story. The ghost won not because he was stronger or better armed. He won because he thought differently. He saw the system for what it was and understood its rules better than those who created it. He was a strategist in a world where everyone was used to solving problems with brute force. This is a story about how brains will always beat brawn, that one man with a plan can be more dangerous than an entire army. His legacy lives on. They say he distributed the money around the world, investing it in legitimate businesses and charities, thereby laundering both the cash and his own karma. He became a shadow king whom no one knows by sight. And the Mafia, they never recovered from the blow. The trust between the families was shattered forever. They began a slow decline, consumed by the internal wars and paranoia sown by the ghost. This story is a reminder to every one of us. It doesn't matter how big and insurmountable your problem is, whether it's debt, self-doubt, or fear of the future. If you can look at it from a different angle, find its weak spot, and make a plan, you will win. You have to become the ghost to your own problems. Study them, understand their rules, and strike where they least expect it. That is the warrior's path. Your life is your game, and you can either be a pawn or the player who changes the rules. The ghost chose the latter. He refused to accept a world ruled by cruelty and fear. He challenged the system and came out on top, and so can you. Your $1 billion is your dream, your goal, and you have everything you need to achieve it. All you need is cold calculation, a bold plan, and faith in your own strength. Imagine your fear is that Mafia family holding you in its grip. It dictates the rules. Don't stand out. You'll never make it. This isn't for you. It's powerful as long as you play by its rules. But the moment you start thinking like the ghost, all its power crumbles. Start acting unconventionally. Do what no one expects of you. Surprise yourself. and you will watch as your own personal fortress falls. Every day you face a choice: live in the shadow of someone else's rules, or become the ghost who writes his own story. The streets teach one thing: survival isn't for the strongest, but for the smartest and most adaptive, for the one who sees opportunities where others only see walls. The legend of the ghost isn't just a crime story. It is a hymn to human intellect, will, and the ability to change the world with only one asset: your mind. The ghost story proves that one brilliant move can change everything. If this legend lit a fire in you, show it. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and write in the comments what fortress in your own life you're ready to storm. Your support fuels new stories. If this video gets 2,000 likes, I'll tell the story of how one woman became the godmother and took control of Miami's entire cocaine trade.